Hello and welcome to this challenging video, Voting, a Black American's Challenge to Vote Character over Party. Well, I want to speak to you about Frederick Douglass that lived in the 1800s. Frederick Douglass was born into slavery on Maryland's eastern shore. After 3 attempts, he escaped when he was 20 years old and became one of the greatest abolitionists and orators of the 1800s. But if there is anyone that could be bitter about the circumstances dealt to him in his life, Frederick Douglass would be that man. Frederick Douglass had taught himself to read. He was an intellectual giant, and with his newfound freedom, he began to study the founding documents of the United States, the Constitution and the Declaration, legal theory, and all the abolitionist readings that he could get his hands on. Initially, he was an outspoken opponent of the Constitution, which he had denounced as a covenant with death. But because he was a man of high intellectual integrity, he continued to read and to think. He studied the founders, he studied legal theory and history, which culminated in a dramatic conversion to the Constitution. He told others that this was not a hasty decision, but was one done through careful and thorough study. With great resolve, he concluded that the U.S. Constitution was both the founding generation's greatest achievement and the abolitionist's greatest weapon. He said this during some remarks around July 4th. "Take the Constitution according to its plain reading. I defy the presentation of a single pro-slavery clause in it. Interpreted as it ought to be interpreted, the Constitution is a glorious liberty document." He appealed to the Constitution and the Declaration and to the principles embedded in them for the abolition of slavery. Well, let's get to his remarks about character over party, and he said this about his one great political idea. "I have one great political idea. That idea is an old one. It is widely and generally assented to. Nevertheless, it is very generally trampled upon and disregarded. This constitutes my politics, the negative and positive of my politics, and the whole of my politics. I feel it my duty to do all in my power to infuse this idea into the public mind, that it may speedily be recognized and practiced upon by our people. The best expression of it I have found in the Bible is in the substance, 'Righteousness exalteth a nation, and sin is a reproach to any people.'" And so by saying this, he is saying that character trumps party, that leaders of character and a nation filled with people of character will have a transformative effect on culture and society. And so he advocates for character over party. He aligns himself with George Washington that said this in his inaugural address: "The propitious smiles of heaven can never be expected on a nation that disregards the eternal rules of order and right which heaven itself has ordained." Well, what are those eternal rules of order and right? Righteousness exalteth a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. I would like to also submit that Douglass was the forefather of Reverend Martin Luther King, Jr. "I still have a dream," Martin Luther King, Jr. said. "It's a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." And so might we agree with these 2 black leaders from 2 different centuries that character trumps party. This is U.S. Civics Training. Thanks for listening.